Let's see the evidence here as is documented and the cleanup that has to go on because the council aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
There, but there must be someone in the area dropping up this food to them. Look, so somebody is feeding these people and having them coming back and forward around that. So whoever it is, you're going to be responsible when something camping in them bushes at the back of our houses.
That when I'm saying immigration and talking about safety in the same sentence, I need to be very, very specific about what I'm saying.
You know, people stealing handbags, kind of crimes among locals.
Yeah.
But this, you say, in the last 4 years, and it's escalated.
Yeah.
It's kind of something different that you haven't seen before.
Yeah, like I'm from the area, I grew up here. Like, it's actually barbaric behaviour. It's something totally new, and the intimidation that the girls were feeling, like it was just, it's a different level to what it was years ago. And I do dread to think what it's going to be like in a few months' time or in a few years' time. Like, especially, like, as I said in the article, like the dark winter nights and everything. Like, there's gangs of men hanging around on the street everywhere. And
They're not Irish, they're not, the majority of them are not locals.
Main ways where they're all hanging around, and it gets dark in the winter. And you have to understand as well, like, these men are coming from cultures where women are thought of totally different to the way we grow up thinking of women in Ireland. And it's no fault of their own. I mean, that's just their culture. It's not our culture. But unfortunately, they're here now, and you know, I just don't know.
So in the past year, Ireland has seen an unprecedented surge in the amount of people claiming international protection, not just from Ukraine, which obviously we know there's a war happening there, so that's we'll put that aside for the minute. But even in terms of non-Ukrainian refugees, I think the claims are up something like 500%. And the year before we saw this surge, the government they launched a scheme where they were offering own door accommodation to anybody who entered Ireland's asylum process. Do you think that these things are connected or driving a certain surge?
I'm no way could I say it whether they are or not. But what I want to say is that it's all the more reason to be vigilant with the increased numbers. All the more reason to be vigilant and to be strict. I would consider that the asylum system that I operated was too lenient for the current scene. I make an application for asylum. They're subsequently interviewed then by a commissioner who makes a decision on whether they can stay or not. And if they refuse, then it comes into our lot to deal with it. Most of the people who were claiming asylum at that time, they're totally different situation with the Ukraine position today. But most of them at that time wanted a better life. And you don't claim asylum just because you want a better life.
They're just an economic migrant and they're claiming asylum falsely to just sort of better their lot in life. Why do you think that's a bad thing? Why should we reject somebody?
I didn't say it was a bad thing. All I said was that they were not refugees. I didn't say it's a bad thing. And there should be doors open for them. But they're not the doors to the refugee tribunal.
Why do you think we let more people in now than we did in your day?
I couldn't give you any view on that other than to speculate that there may be a more liberal regime there at the moment. But if there is, they're not, and the law is the same. I'm out of it for over 10 years now, and if the law has changed, I'm not totally up to date with the current law. But if the law hasn't changed, they shouldn't be let in. Not all the applicants get a hearing. We don't, as members of the tribunal, don't decide who gets a hearing at all. That's administrative work. So, but if they get a hearing, anybody that I got a hearing in front of me, I never let one of them in, not one of them in. They were obviously economic migrants. And sometimes they'd come up with stories that had contradicted even something they said before, or was something they just added on because they felt they hadn't said enough. Any person I refused just wasn't a refugee. An economic migrant is not a refugee.
Why don't you go and feed their own or that's homeless? There's another spot. Look at the rubbish they're leaving here. Look at all this filth. They're wrecking our parks all over the country. And all these lefties are looking after this. They're more concerned about watching these people than helping their own. It's a fucking joke, it is. Men are coming into our parks and playgrounds all over fucking Dublin. Look at the fucking state of the tip. Another tent back here now, look. Pain these fucking bollocks. Look at all this. Fucking drugs, crack pipes, drink, fucking everything. If a child kicked the football down here, watch this, right? This is how close this is to this.
Look at this.
This is a kids' park here. People, women walk their dogs and all around here. Now if a child was playing football here and the football went down there, the child would probably get down and get it and fell on one of them needles. Imagine the child fell on one of them needles that's down there. Look where this is.
Drimna in South Dublin.
You need to think about the Irish people. First of all, you need to look in the mirror and reflect and govern the people you have to govern, not be listening to outside influences, which is are doing, and it's not doing us any good. It's barbaric, the policies you have towards children. Then you get a couple of masked guys outside the TD's house and he's saying his kids are frightened. They're frightened in my home last Saturday in Turnipin Lane when there was 20 Africans on the road doing coke, drinking, with an 80-year-old woman next door. Roisin Shortall objected to us protesting against this. Roisin is gone. We don't want violence, but we want our country, and we're not having any more of this crap. Wake up, Irishmen, please.
His name is Damien. He owns a bar and a construction company in County Meath.
Ukraine started in 2022. The council reached out to properties looking for accommodation for Ukrainian women and children, and their offer worked out about 35,000 a month. We have 6 rooms. We would generally have about 5,000 euros worth of accommodation sales per month, so this was some offer. We agreed. After cancelling all bookings, we couldn't get clarification on what was going on and who exactly was being sent to us, so the contract was cancelled.
So this was a first approach that had been made for 6 rooms. It would have given him €5,000 a month, or roughly 60 grand a year.
Fast forward to recently, and we were contacted again about housing men, and the rate they now pay is €84 per person per night, and apparently you can put 4 in a room. That works out at over 2,000 a night, over 60,000 a month, nearly €750,000 a year for a house. Food, and if required, transport was on top of that, and that would not include whatever they were receiving themselves personally. As I contemplated taking the money, I thought to myself, I don't live here, it's not going to affect me, but how will it affect the people of this area? Was there any positives for the community? With the accommodation gone, our overseas tourists and people attending weddings in the venues nearby would no longer be able to avail of that service. In the bar, restaurant, we cater for funerals, communions, birthdays, parties, that's gone. We are rural, so it's a place where local farmers get a chance to meet and have a pint, chat and a bit of crack. They won't come here if there's 30 men hanging around outside. The school buses drop and collect kids from our car park. Will they feel safe? I concluded there was no benefit to the community and no quality of life for the men. The only benefit was to me financially. I have a nice house and a nice family. I don't need anything else. We declined.
60,000 a month, but yet his own kid's school can't fundraise 60,000, or the department says we don't have 60,000 available. They don't have it, or they don't want to spend it, or it's being siphoned off into other things. This is straight from the horse's mouth, folks. This is evidence of the corruption and the treachery that's being carried out by the Irish government.
With financial interests in this type of business. The people arriving in seeking asylum are merely a form of currency for some of these landlords and people bringing them in. And sometimes those people are one and the same. They don't care about them. They will stack them high in warehouses and factories, charging astronomical fees, which the government, it seems, are happy to pay. Actually, under a HICWA inspection, one hotel was found to have 10 men in one room. And they don't care about the effects on local communities by putting hundreds of men with nothing to do but walk the streets in small communities.
Just think about this.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Delaney of the Irish Inquiry, and today I want to talk to you about ABB House, a massive new proposed iPass centre on the Bellegarde Road in Tallaght, Dublin 24. And as you can see from the picture, it's anything but a house, and it can hold up to 1,500 migrants. And here is the letter. Just 2 months after that, on January 13th, 2025, a South Dublin County Council senior planner wrote back to the planning consultancy firm HW Planning, which is situated in Cork, acknowledging an application for planning exemptions for ABB House. This HW Planning handle public and private sector planning applications, and their director is Harry Walsh, and he has previously signed a notice regarding retention of the Great Southern Hotel in Rosslare, which has been designated for use as a migrant centre. Rosslare is another town that has been utterly destroyed beyond all recognition. Just to note the price of ABB House, as I said, they spent 5.25 million, and they'll probably spend 1 or 2 million on conversion, but they'll likely recoup these millions with the taxpayer funds they'll be paid in a 3-month period for a building of this size. And I base this on what I know of similar sized migrant centres. So anyway, HW Planning wrote looking for the planning exemption on January 10th, 2025, and by February 5th, 2025, the Council granted exemption on all planning constraints, and this presumably includes fire cert planning, as a lot of these centres do not have full fire certs, and they only kit out the building for fire safety retrospectively, in other words, after the people have entered the building and start living there. And this happened in East Wall ESB Centre, owned by Mel Sutcliffe's company Goldstein. So this is the situation. You have councils knocking on people's doors, wanting to inspect garages they might have converted for their adult child that can't leave home because they can't afford a house. But a 41,000 square foot building that could hold 1,500 human beings is not subject to planning constraints. As I say, these humans they're a cost to the taxpayer, but each one is a commodified product to cusp view.
But would take it to benefit themselves first and foremost and have the community destroyed. Maybe someone will hear, maybe this will prick a few consciences, I don't know. But even if it stops one more centre being open, well then surely that testimony is worth hearing and worth sharing. This is insane, and this is just one property in one place, let alone what's going on right across Ireland. It doesn't take long for that €1 billion a year plus bill to be racking up. They reckon the cost this year alone will be 1.2 billion on so-called asylum seeker or IPAS, International Protection Accommodation Services Centre payments, 1.2 billion plus. But yet nurseries are closing down, children can't get mental health counselling, hospital waiting lists are going up. There's no money for any of that. But when it comes to this business, it's there.
I'm sure a lot of you seen the Twitter threads, the personal attacks, people calling me a racist, misinterpreting what I was saying, trying to make me out to be a fascist, and all the worst things that you can say about a person, things that are just absolutely not true at all. There was some attempts even to edit my Wikipedia page to say that I was aligning myself with the far right and that I was anti-immigrant. And I can assure you that my DMs were full of that stuff as well.
Ireland. I'm here because I love Ireland. I love this country. This country gave me tremendous opportunity. I wasn't born here, but I'm just here to voice my dissatisfaction because everyone who's been living here for a long time or who was born here is being put last. And I think that there's too many people recently coming in here and they're being put first, you know, getting €800 towards your rent. I think that's wrong. I think that's while the native population is suffering.
Like, everyone's talking about this is a disgrace what's happening, and like I feel an upswelling. I'm slightly nervous on camera, but I feel an upswelling of our people, and it needs to be. We need to be unified in our voice.
We talk about the Book of Kells as a symbol of Ireland, forgetting that the Book of Kells is an illustrated copy of the Christian Gospel, which was made by Irish Christian monks. I mean, look around this country. You can't throw a stone without hitting a round tower, a high cross, or a monastery. The Irish phrase dia gwit is translated as hello, but literally speaking, dia means God and gwit means with you, God with you. It's even part of our national greeting. The preamble to the Constitution invokes the authority of Jesus Christ as the source of our rights. People complain about the number of religious schools in Ireland, but did you ever stop to think who built the schools? There's a reason they're everywhere and they didn't grow on trees. There's a reason there's a church on every street corner, and it's because Christianity is a huge part of Irish culture and has been for well over a millennium and a half.